I'm here with Mr. Lalit Modi in his residence in London, and a lot of water has gone under the bridge. He probably has had time to think. We want to talk about what are his next steps and a little bit about the background of this entire thing. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Modi.
My pleasure. Thank you for taking. You've been here long since yesterday. And I'm glad we can sit down together and have a quiet conversation on this.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Okay, first of all, now you have had time to think.
Yes.
What do you think concretely are going to be your next steps?
I think in hindsight, what's happened is I've come to the realization that this close club of people that only support each other, and at the cost of the institution, the cost of the game, the cost of the fans, is detrimental. And we had that same situation in 1990 and 2002, 3 and 4 when Mr. Dalmia was running the affairs and BCCI was running the affairs of the international cricket. I think we've reached the same or even a worse situation that in the same context. I worked very hard, many years to derail him. I was outsider. I'm an outsider then, I was an outsider, I'm an outsider today. But that didn't stop me then, it's not going to stop me now. But what it has given me is now the right to go after all these people and to show everybody that what they're doing is detrimental. And it takes time because everybody's plugging in stories. Lalit run away to London. Lalit is sitting and he's banned. And they like to spin these stories. You can spin as much as you like. You can form a committee with vested interest people. The same people who filed charges against you in the first place are the people now sitting out there investigating you, and that they're the same people pronouncing judgment on you. Now, how do you have, in a court, it's like going to a judge, the judge himself has filed a charge sheet against you, or against you, and filed allegations against you. He then sits on it and hears you, and he then sits and pronounces judgment. Now, that's not judicial process. That is the same person who's complaining against you that keeps pronouncing judgment on you, and that seems to be the case in my case. But I'm not perturbed by it because I knew this is what the BCCI is going to do. If they were wanting to get to the bottom of it, they would have an unbiased committee going out there and investigate it. I have been suggesting from day one there should be an unbiased, retired Supreme Court justices that should have been taken into account. But I guess they didn't want. They wanted to be their own committee. They've done it time and time again. They did it when Mr. Dalmia was investigated. I was a member of that committee, by the way, that investigated Mr. Dalmia. It was a 3-member committee: myself, Mr. Chirai Yomin, and Mr. Srinivasan. Unfortunately, we never met. Mr. Srinivasan decided that as secretary of BCCI and a member of the committee, he's going to do the investigation himself. He's going to write the report himself. And he decided, for some reason, to give him a clean chit. Because anyway, he was part of that coterie in the first place. And so it's a cozy club as far as I say it's concerned. They do what they want when they want, and they pass the results. We've seen that in the case of Gurunath Mayappan. It's his son-in-law. And is a partner and the principal of the Chennai Super Kings, and he was caught talking to bookmakers, and there was a committee set up. Again, the committee was set up with friends of Mr. Srinivasan, and of course the courts dismissed it, and Mr. Srinivasan went on the defense saying, let the committee decide, or let somebody charge him. Today he's being charge sheeted. Mr. Srinivasan turns around and says, I distanced myself from Mr. Mayappan. Mr. Mayappan has nothing to do with the Chennai Super Kings. I ran the IPL. I know Mr. Gurunath Mayappan was a team owner, along with Mr. Srinivasan being the principal team owner and the owner of India Cement and Chennai Super King. He can fight under cloak and hide the fact that, oh, I am a managing director of public limited company. That's what he's going under. Saying, I am the managing director of public limited company. I don't own the company. It's a publicly listed company. I'm a minority shareholder. Again, we know how minority shareholding works in India. We know how public companies work in India when it's family held. They're listed, but we know who runs it. Mr. Srinivasan is not the type of person, leave alone running his own household or company. He doesn't allow anything to be run by anybody else. It's a one-man show. So hiding under that disguise is not going to pay off, because the truth is going to come out. And the whole world has seen it. It's not me I'm talking about. It's not Lalit Modi alone. I'm already banned and I'm already gone. I was already suspended earlier. We are talking about the fact that cricket as generally is under threat. And a threat because of match fixing. When you have an administrator at the top of the helm of an organization, he himself is involved in match fixing. And I say that very clearly. Why? Mr. Mayappan cannot have the guts, and has never had the guts to even open his mouth in front of Srinivasan, leave alone anything. I know, I was there. I would be in a room and Mr. Mayappan would sit in a corner and would not even have the guts to open his mouth, because he was just placed there by Mr. Srinivasan. And today to say that he is the owner, and because he's saying that, because Mr. Muthaiya has a case against him for conflict of interest. He wants to safeguard his legal position in the conflict of interest case which is coming up in Supreme Court. I think it's coming up tomorrow morning, in fact, in another matter, in the Bihar Cricket Association. So he's trying to safeguard that because the lawyers have told him to do that. And if he denies that, I would like him to deny it publicly on television, and then I will show where it comes from and how it comes from. Already enough documentation exists showing that he's owners. You look at the team owner badges. I signed them myself for years and years and years. Every meeting chaired by him has shown that.
Okay, now about all this has happened, but Mr. Srinivasan is due to be elected possibly on the 29th.
That's what it looks like. It just shows you that even when we are going through such a critical crisis in the country, and it's not me who's saying it, all television networks are running it. It's the story of the decade, of the century probably, what's happening in cricket. It's front page headline news, a breaking story about. It's not Lalit Modi versus Srinivasan. It's Srinivasan versus the rest of the cricketing world. And we've seen what is happening, but the sad part is that all members in the BCCI unfortunately don't have a voice, don't want to be projected of being anti Mr. Srinivasan, and I clearly say that. There's a quid pro quo there. It's not that, and they are gutless, they're absolutely gutless to be not able to stand up to him. And this is the sad part. Cricket is getting ruined, fans are upset about it, match fixing is going on, and nobody's talking about it in a meeting. And that is the sad part, that they all combine together in this close, cozy club to protect their own seats and the dole-outs given by the BCCI. Somebody asked me what are these dole-outs are. I didn't have a chance to answer that on air yesterday in detail. I'll tell you what these dole-outs are. These dole-outs are in form of subsidies. These subsidies go to state association from the BCCI. They run into 40-50 crores a year. These subsidies are not then, what happens at the state association level is the key. At the state association level, how that money is spent. Now you take for example, I'll give you a small example. One stadium puts in chairs at 500 rupees as an example. The same chair is put by another stadium at 6,000 rupees. Now tell me, from the same manufacturer, one guy is buying it at 500, another buyer